Joe Biden has created numerous crises since he entered the Oval Office, but his inflation crisis is harming minorities and the working poor alike. Joining me now to discuss is editor-in-chief of TrishIntel.com and the host of the Trish Regan Show, Trish Regan. Hey, great to see you, lady. Hey. You know, part of the inflation, of course, is on the rise is this whole thing with gas prices. AAA coming out with new data today, published in the New York Times of all places, where gas prices are expected to increase, another 10 to 20 cents through the end of August. On top of that, Biden has killed American oil while propping up Russian oil and foreign oil. His socialist spending spree has devalued the currency, harming the buying power for the working poor, and he's promising to raise taxes. It sounds like the only folks who prosper in Biden's America is government. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, it's a lot to digest when you think about it. You just laid it all out there. It is a lot to take in. We were doing so well. I mean, you think about pre-COVID and median incomes were on the rise faster than they had grown in years. We saw tremendous prosperity by way of our overall GDP growth. We were fighting back against the likes of China. I mean, we were on the right path. Basically, all Joe Biden and team had to do was just waltz into the White House and not screw it up. And yet they're repeatedly trying to do things that will screw it up. I mean, case in point, you mentioned energy prices, you mentioned gas prices. I predicted we would be seeing $75 to $100 a barrel oil this year, 75 by 100, but 75 to 100. We're already there, Chris, right? When it comes to 75, we're already there this summer, and it's going to keep going up. And part of this is because of the administration's policies itself, right? I mean, when you get rid of the Keystone Pipeline, what do you think that does? It diminishes the supply of energy here in this country, and it's a darn shame because you think about our energy independence and how critical that is. And look, I don't care, from a national security standpoint, you ought to be able to hold on to as much oil as you can, right? We ought to have that in our back pocket. And instead, as he goes on this green energy kick, he's willing to throw out the one thing we've really got going for us right now, and that is the energy independence.
No kidding. President Trump made a big announcement today, I'm sure you've heard, suing the CEOs of Facebook, Twitter, and Google, along with the companies too. Trump had this to say on the need to stop the current cancel culture. Watch this.
We're asking the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida to order an immediate halt to social media companies' illegal, shameful censorship of the American people, and that's exactly what they are doing. We're demanding an end to the shadow banning, a stop to the silencing, and a stop to the blacklisting, banishing, and canceling that you know so well.
Okay, so Trish, I think there's a tactic here, but I just wanted to get your take from an economic standpoint. What is this lawsuit going to do to these companies?
Well, I mean, for one thing, they're going to have to shell out a lot of money in legal fees. So that's not good. But the bigger thing that I think he's really, ultimately going after here, and that I wish our government would focus on a little bit more, is what these companies have effectively done to our freedom of speech, our First Amendment. In other words, they have been saying all along, well, it doesn't really matter because we're private companies, right? We should be able to post what we want to post. The problem is they've gotten too big. They have reached a monopoly-like status, and consequently, they are now infringing on our rights. Now, typically, when you look at monopoly law, you think, oh, well, it's hurting the consumer in terms of they're gouging the consumer in prices. In this case, it's not prices, right? It's not like you pay anything for this information, but they are gouging Americans in terms of our rights, in terms of our First Amendment, by shadow banning, by blocking, in his case, all right, blocking, right? I mean, think about that. Twitter saying you're off and you're never coming back. They can't hide behind this. Well, we're just, a private company, and therefore we should be able to select and choose anymore, because they have become too vital, if you would, to the overall society. So I think he's trying to hurt them financially, and he should, because perhaps that's all they'll respond to. I mean, no one's doing anything on the monopoly-like status that they have. I think Lena Khan at the FTC, I'm giving her, hope and a prayer here. I hope she can do her job and go after some of these big tech companies, but she's sort of one person, and you have an entire system that kind of likes let's not kid ourselves, that kind of likes that Donald Trump has been banned and that conservatives have been shadow banned, because now they're controlling all of it.
Well, I've only got about 30 seconds left, Trish. Just give me your impression of this, because we're going to get more into this in the next segment. What if Donald Trump can get these companies to say, hey, we're private companies, we have every right to hate on conservatives. We have every right to censor conservatives because political affiliation is not a protected class. What if he can maneuver them to doing this? What's that going to do to their business model?
Well, every conservative should just leave, right? I mean, this is why it is so critical that something else be out there. Parler has tried, and it's still trying, but look at what they put Parler through. And don't kid yourself. That was very much the takedown of Parler, AWS, Amazon, by Google, by Apple. That was a very orchestrated move. They don't want any more competition out there, but it is critical that conservatives mobilize, because our voices need to be heard as well.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.